Hey everyone, I'm Shana, and I am going to take you down to my studio and show you the art collection that I've been creating for the past 9 months for Nashville North Studios in Linwood, opening on Friday, August 28th, and running through until September 16th. So I'm going to take you through my yard, where my husband and I, have been building a wildlife sanctuary, nature retreat, and where I get much of my inspiration. Last year we had an art studio built over where my grandfather's back porch used to be, but was falling apart, couldn't be saved, so we built an entire new art studio. Let me see if I can show you. So here's the studio and my very overgrown backyard, but also very, very beloved by the birds and the insects and the butterflies. There's more of the studio. So let's go inside and I will show you what I have been up to. There we go. Wow. Here it is. There's the collection. There's the elephant. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's not done. An easel. Oh, there's a yurt. I do have a yurt. Bye, yurt. All right, let's see. Hi everyone, I'm Shana. This is my collection behind me that I've been working on for Nashville North Studios. My show will be opening on Friday, August 28th, and it'll run until September 16th. I am doing this art talk in a virtual manner. This is a new format for me, so please forgive all the flaws and mistakes that I am about to make. I'm also using notes, but that is just how I'm going to roll with this experience. So I sourced a few questions from some of my Instagram friends and followers about what they wanted to know about my art collection, since they've been watching this process for about 9 months now. So I'm going to turn to those and try and answer them, and let's get started. The first question was, what inspired this collection? So as an artist and a shamanic practitioner, I have been searching for a way to marry these two passions of mine together. And so Judy from Nashville North Studios, when she asked me if I would do an art show, I took this as an opportunity to try and accomplish this experiment. So soul retrieval is a healing technique in shamanic traditions that is a process to call back the lost and fragmented and broken aspects of our soul that experienced trauma at different points in our life. And so when those parts are brought back, we are made whole again and feel healed. And so that is the nature of this art show. For those of you who don't know what shamanism is, it's not a religion. It is a spiritual practice and a lifestyle, and some people who practice shamanism go on to work in the healing element of shamanism and become healers. And the basic concepts of shamanism are a core belief that everything's alive, everything has a vital life essence, like the paintings behind me, all have their own spirits and personalities. Another concept is the act of moving between the spirit worlds for various reasons, for healing, for guidance, for inspiration. So what inspired me was my deep connection to the spirit worlds and my love of creating art and bringing those two things together. So I'm going to answer question number 2. I'm going to try it from standing. You know, like everything else in 2020, this is a learning process. There's a lot of experimentation going on. So I'm going to see if I prefer to answer my questions while on both feet. So here we go. The second question is, how did you choose your color palette for this collection? So which is a really cool question, by the way. As you can see behind me, there's a lot of different colors going on. So I chose to use the approach this collection as like a medicine wheel or a Celtic wheel of the year, whatever your understanding of the wheel and the compass is. And so in traditions that use a wheel, typically it's broken out into the different directions. In this case, I used the cardinal directions of east, south, west, and north, and then the above, below, and within, or otherwise called the center in this collection. And each direction is aligned with a color and with a season and with a whole bunch of different attributes that I won't go into here. So when choosing my color palette, what I wanted to do was, for those of you who know me, you know that in 2018 I took a vacation out to the Mojave Desert and had an awakening experience, a creatively awakening experience. And I came back remembering that I am an artist besides my day job. And what I loved about the desert was that everywhere you looked, it was just constantly shining. The way the sun was hitting the crystals in the sand, and everything just had a glitter to it. And so that was really powerful for me, and I wanted to bring that back home. I wanted to come back to the Jersey Shore and see that quality in the land that I'm from and that I live in. So I began exploring that by using glitter and metallic paints and really just letting art be fun and playful. So I also took that approach with this collection, and back during Yule of 2019, around the solstice and Christmas and New Year's, is a 12-day period of Yule, and so I opened ceremony in my yurt and did an awakening for the spirit of this collection. And among the different things that I was seeking guidance from the spirit worlds and doing this ceremony was the color choices I wanted to use. So I found my color palette by connecting with the spirits, opening ceremony, making offerings, setting intentions, and putting out that call. And what was returned to me was definitely to use lots of metallics, lots of glitter, the things that make me feel good and happy, especially because the nature of the work, being soul retrieval, can be very serious work, very intense work with a lot of emotional upheavals, and so it added some levity having these shiny, bright colors to work with while going through that experience. So what I discerned through doing a journey, like a shamanic journey, is like a meditation, just different words, different techniques to get there, and all with the pretty much similar destination. And so what I discerned through that journey was there would be a different metallic color to represent the base levels for each of the directional pieces. So I had 3 canvases for each direction, each of the cardinal directions, and one larger piece, which is the elephant you see behind me, which represents the above, below, and within, the center, the sacred center. And so, let's see, the spring, which is in the east, was silver, summer in the south, gold, copper in the west for autumn, and in the north it was pewter, and for the season of winter. And so what I did was I primed all my canvases black, and then I applied these metallic base colors over the entire primed canvas. And the idea is, for those of you who know my work, you know that I start to build up lots of layers, and so the idea is in my layer building, and through the process of like creating the painting, I also do a lot of scraping away. And so I wanted the metallic to be the thing that showed through the gaps, almost to represent like our souls and our spirits, the shiny, highest evolved aspect of ourselves and our spirits, which through life and living and having the human experience gets piled on top of over time, and traumatized, and going through suffering and struggle. And so the layers that started to build up represented all those things. The colors that went on top of the metallics were really my opportunity to buy a ton of metallic paints in all different colors and just experiment, play, see what color combinations work together, and really explore that in a very childlike manner. But then there was also a lot of mixing of colors and experimentation, seeing what colors worked with what, and so that was really it. This has just been a learning experience for my craft, and rather than just working straight from the tubes. So that's pretty much how I got my color palette. And also for my big elephant behind me, representing the center, the above, below, within, while I was in Journey for all of the other paintings, I was also in Journey for that. And what I was shown was that the base for that would be a combination of green and blue. And so when I came out knowing I was working with metallics, I decided to choose a teal, which the merging of the blue and the green would represent the marriage of the blue skies and the green earth. So that is how that all got pulled together. One other thing I wanted to mention about my process, my actual painting process, and the colors and the layers, was that in some of the paintings I started getting very thick layers on, and then I would take one of my tools and sort of cut through them and create a scarring effect. And to me, that became really symbolic of the wounds that I personally was working through as I was doing these paintings, and hopefully the healing of the wounds for whoever these paintings go off with in the future. But I was calling these glitter stars because, I apologize, glitter scars, because what I would do is I'd create these deep wounds within the painting, and then I'd go back and fill it up with glitter, as a way to sort of bring that awareness to our scars, to our stretch marks, to the wounds of our life, and acknowledging they're not something that we should hide. They're something that we should exalt and wear them like badges of honor, because we've earned those scars. And so I just like to point out, if you do get a chance to see my work up close, to look for the glitter scars. I have decided that I like standing. I feel a little less fidgety when I'm on my own 2 feet, so I'm going to continue standing as I answer these questions. The third question is, how did you choose the animals in the collection? Also another really good question. So I'd like to start off first by saying that in a shamanic practice, working with spirits is a partnership. It's a give and a take. There's a lot of reciprocity and cooperation that has to happen when you're working with the spirit realms. And so when I offered that ceremony during Yule, and then I closed the ceremony on New Year's Day, which was the 12th day of Yule, I totally thought this was going to be a 100% strictly abstract collection. I did not anticipate the animals. And so in late January, I realized I had been seeing dragonfly wings forming in one of the paintings, which, see if I can do that one right there. And I was resisting, and I was like, no, this is strictly abstract. I don't want to bring in animals. And by the full moon of February, it was very clear that I was going to be bringing in animals. Dragonfly was coming through, and then this guy, diamondback turtle, they wanted to be shown. And so by that full moon, I had a growing list of animal spirits that were making themselves known, that they wanted to come through in the paintings. A story was forming, and I realized that the work I was doing with the soul retrieval, that it's powerful work, and these aspects that would be coming back to reclaim wholeness, they needed a vessel or a container to dwell in. So these shapes of animals became the vessel to hold the medicine and the energy of the returned parts of the soul. Once I understood that, I was a little less lazy about it, and accepted that I would be doing 13 different animals, many of which I have never tried to draw or paint before. So going back to the partnership with spirits, some of the animals I chose and I was allowed to keep, and some of the animals the spirits chose. And there were arguments, and sometimes I won and sometimes the spirits won. So one of the paintings that I personally knew I wanted to do the second it popped in my mind was swan. I obsessively drew swans when I was a child, and it just felt like a really nice full circle moment to have, to bring my childhood back in this collection, and to show you that part of myself. One of the paintings that the spirits wanted, I wanted a bear, and they wanted the stag. The stag was probably the most challenging to me, for so many different reasons, but maybe primarily because it's very clear that is a male red deer with the antlers. So I realized I had my own healing to do through this piece in reconciling my feelings about masculinity. So again, the lessons just keep on coming. Let's see. Oh, one other thing I want to just point out. I know that some people will look at these and say, oh, that's my spirit animal, I love that. Oh, that's a snake or a spider, that's gross, I don't love those. I just want to point out that currently, the past couple years, the term spirit animal has been trending, and people have been severely misappropriating that term. And so I want to just make it clear that, you know, we should all be in a quest to do better, to understand better, to try and not hurt the communities from where some of these terms and practices come from, and to acknowledge where they come from. So in giving up the use of the term spirit animal, I would suggest you dig into your own roots and your own ancestry and figure out what your ancestors would have called us, you know, an animal ally. For myself, it would be something like a familiar, or a follower, or an animal helping spirit. So just, you know, always trying to bring more mindfulness to what's going on, and not claim other people's terminology for our own. Especially until we understand what our own terminology really is and was. Thanks. The next question is, how do you know when a painting is done? Which is also a good question, and I haven't always known when a painting was done, and I have ruined many, many, many paintings by overdoing it, overpainting, just way too much, years of that. So I'm now just learning, and my relationship with the spirits and with listening to everything is listening for the pauses. So when I'm working on a painting, these animals were a great representation of that. There was constant chatter. I mean, they would all be talking at the same time, and it's sort of like this buzzing excitement of, you know, when a friend is rooting you on and encouraging you to do something. It's just like that. So as you're painting and you hear you know, the chattering of, oh, you could do this, oh, you can do this, don't forget about this, that like I would have to actually stop and take notes because the information coming in from the various paintings was overwhelming. And then time passes and they go quiet. And I've learned to listen to and for the silence. And that's typically when I know that the painting is done. And also if it sells, then it's definitely done. Sometimes you can go back to an old painting and it could start talking again. And you start painting again. Hopefully you don't overdo it and ruin it. It takes a lifetime of practice, I think, to know when a painting is actually done. The next question is, what are reparation paintings? I'm going to use my notes a little bit more for the answer to this one because I do not want to cut short my answer, because I feel like this is important information that I'm supposed to share. And so forgive me if I'm looking down a lot, but it's an important message that I have to convey with this body of work. If one recurring feeling has prevailed for me during 2020, it is helplessness, especially in the face of culture-shifting moments like the one we are currently living in. I feel like I don't know where to begin in using my voice to show up and support the issues that I care about. The issues that we have ignored for far too long. In confronting my role in systemic racism, one of the things I have learned is that you can show up for people of color by sharing what you know or by giving what you can in support of the movement. I realized that I can give art, whether it's donating a painting to be used in a fundraiser or donating proceeds to a charity that supports marginalized communities. This is what I can do to help change the narrative. These paintings I'm calling my reparation paintings. I'm going to just turn this for a second so you can see my reparation painting from this collection. From the Soul Retrieval Collection, I am donating 100% of the proceeds from my largest painting in the series titled The Matriarch, aka the white elephant in the room, aka the matriarch of white privilege. I have chosen to donate to the local women-led nonprofit CROPS, which stands for Communities Revolutionizing Open Public Spaces, who work tirelessly to respond to food insecurity in South Jersey by maintaining 3 community gardens and offering paid internships to locals to gain experience working in the gardens, at their farmers market, and other events. The bulk of the matriarch was painted in the wake of Breonna Taylor's murder and during the murder of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter protests that ensued, not to mention the murders of Black, Indigenous, and trans lives that go unnoticed and underreported every single day. As I painted on the thick layers of white, I fell deep into the rabbit hole of seeing how I am complicit under the many guises of racism and how much work there is to do. It is my responsibility to do better. It is time for all of us to do better, to unlearn, to make room in our lives and minds for new voices and different colors in every aspect of our life, to be examples to our children and our children's children so that future generations can erase bias from their worldview. Final question. What's next for your art? So many things that I want to do. So many lists of things to try. I want to play and experiment more. I want to revisit some of the color combinations that I hit upon with this collection but didn't fully realize. I want to work really big and I want to work really small. There are a few collaborations that I've been discussing with some local artists and poets. But right now, I need a rest. I have put my whole self into this body of work. I've never done anything like this before. I've gone through a full life cycle. I've gone through a full life cycle in the 9 months it has taken me to create this collection. There has been an incredible amount of upheaval in my life and in the life of the world and people around me. And healing has also transpired. I think this fall, I just need to sit with it. And I need to let the dust settle for a minute. I'm immensely grateful to Judy and Jim at Nashville North for providing me this opportunity to understand myself better as an artist. I'm equally grateful to my family and my friends and my network of support for being on this journey with me, for reminding me of who I am and why I do it. So thank you, Wanishi. We are all connected by the threads of this web. We are all connected. We are all related. Aho. Oh, so glad I put on makeup for this art talk. Did not realize I would start crying through it. I mean, it makes sense. I cried through most of 2020, and I cried through a lot of the paintings that are part of this collection. So yeah, why wouldn't I cry through the art talk too? That's just who I am.